If you watched Dune last year and you're looking for this new itch, this new game that will satisfy your inner Dune desires, then why not check out Dune Spice Wars? It's a game in the 4X genre that's pretty much similar to what you would expect out of perhaps Civilization, Humankind, maybe Old World, but it has its own unique. I think this game is unique in the fact that it combines a lot of good elements, and plus, like say you have an army in Civilization, right? And they need to move from hexagon to hexagon. You don't have that. You have the complete freedom to move your army wherever you want it to go. And that is actually quite a good thing, because Total War has something similar where you don't have any like rigid areas to move, but basically you can move anywhere where you want with your army. It basically gives you the idea of freedom, exploration, and that new world-esque vibe. In Arrakis, you are basically fighting for the dominance of the spice trade, because spice is life, spice is consciousness, spice is everything in this world. And you will be fighting over gorgeous environments as you forge your own path to victory. For example, you could be fighting in the sun-baked deserts of Arrakis, maybe at night, maybe at day, maybe at dawn. And you will fight some really nasty factions. You'll fight smugglers, you'll fight the House Harkonnen, and you fight many other such factions. But of course, the game only has 4 playable factions right now. I imagine more factions might be added in the future, maybe some small minor ones that we don't know about, but perhaps might be added. There's subterfuge, political influence, economic supremacy, open warfare. This game encapsulates all of that, and you can play pretty much as, most of the characters in the Dune novel. So, Duke Leto Atreides, the Baron Vladimir Harkonnen, Esma Tuek, and Liet Kynes. You have to gain the upper hand, and you have to stay away from withering deserts. There's so many storms and sandworms. Stay away from them because they're not really recommended. Say you could be besieging a city, and then a sandworm just comes and eats your army. It doesn't eat the army of the city you're besieging, but it eats your army. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Yes. I'm joking, but obviously I'd like to see some elements of that changed, but I would like to see more of this stuff. I love the supernatural elements, and I think a few bits here and there could definitely add some more immersion into this already stunning world that you are playing in. But this game has a lot of potential. I mean, I really like the diplomatic system in this game, because the diplomacy was really, I think, a really good way of trying to showcase just how valuable resources and commodities are in this world. I think they could add more factions rather than just being vague smugglers or anything like that. I think they could add some more minor factions to add playability. I think what they could also do is they could implement the sort of city vassal state system which Civilization has, where you can go to little smaller, like even more smaller trade groups or mercenaries that serve on your side, but instead they demand that they will work for a year, for a month, but they want certain benefits as well. The other main thing is that when you have missions, right, you'll have missions like some scientists will come to you and you have to build 2 buildings and you have to build something. I feel like the time frame is a little too slow. Moving on to the diplomatic and political side, you have definitely a lot of factions to deal with, obviously, and you will be making trade deals with the smugglers or with House Harkonnen, and you'll be making a lot of diplomatic moves. But basically, you'll be trading mostly over resources, how much spice you have versus how much Solaris, the currency of the game that you have, and how much do you have to pay. Now I played as House Atreides, and that is perhaps the most friendliest and easiest faction to first play with. Would I say that the smugglers are difficult? Yes. I haven't tried out the Fremen or the Harkonnens. I don't like the Harkonnens because I just don't like them, and I just don't like the way they completely, did it in the books. I just despise them. but I do want to try out the Fremens as well. But if you try House Atreides is perhaps the most user-friendly, easy to play faction first. But I do feel that the diplomatic options are limited at this point, because you have trade agreements, research agreements and intel, and you can exchange Solaris for spice, etc. I do think there needs to be a bit more diplomatic options that could be added. I do think there needs to be a home world. Like in Age of Empires 3, if you played as a Spanish, you basically conquered the new world, but you could go to Madrid and you could get special resources, troops that you couldn't build in the new world. I think something like this could definitely be added. So for example, if House Atreides has its home planet, you could go there and recruit certain resources that you can't get in Arrakis, and certain refineries, maybe a couple of more soldiers that don't have any upkeep. Things like this I think could definitely add a lot of immersion. And my next suggestion would be to add more dilemmas from the novel. As for the political side, it is quite a hefty political system, and I didn't understand it too much, but as I play more I will be able to understand more and more of it. I definitely think the voting system in this game, when it comes to politics, I'm not sure how it technically works, and I think there needs to be a tutorial for the political system. As for the espionage system, yes, it's good, but it's very basic at the moment. You are infiltrating certain areas, you are doing things here and there, but it doesn't give me much of an impact in the game. The other nitpick that I didn't understand in this game was that I was making diplomatic trade deals with Harkonnen, and then House Harkonnen attacks me while I am trying to deal with them and they haven't declared war on me. I think there needs to be an option to declare war, because with the removal of the hex system, your AI is moving from here to there to everywhere, right? So for example, if I'm House Atreides and a bunch of smugglers tries to take over my city, House Atreides can destroy them. And every time the units get attacked, they go to the city, then they retreat. It's back and forth. I think there needs to be some sort of improvement that, certain units shouldn't assault a capital until you're really certain that you can go and attack it in the first place. Because right now, I've tried to attack a city where I've lost so many troops and they only have militia, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That shouldn't make sense. But actually, I think it really works though, because it's not like your typical civilization game where you easily expand. Expanding also has its costs. Expanding also should bring some sort of element of, if you lose too many battles, you could have people. If you lose too many battles, you could have desertions, you could have mutinies, you could have so many things. And I also think there needs to be an advisor role. An advisor role that dictates that, should you build a building in this area? Should you vote on this policy? Should you do some economic decisions, etc.? I think elements like that definitely need to be added. I wish there was an option for a day-night time cycle and a photo mode, and I wish there was an ability to basically play this game without the UI, like make an option or something, like to fight in night mode. You'll be fighting in environments that could range from day to night. I really like the animation style in this game. I think there needs to be more dialogue, more events, more stuff from the novel that needs to be added, but I think this could go for a very, very solid game. In the future, with consistent updates, patches, etc., I think this game could be really good with lots of content added in. And I think this game is quite this game is quite easy to get into, and for players of Total War, they might find this a bit easy to understand, because it has the elements, I believe, of a beginning of a Total War campaign. And I think this game is a solid 8 out of 10. It's definitely fun. I've had a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend others to go and try this out. And I know this is a bit unusual for my channel, but I do play other games as well. So if you want to stay tuned, don't forget to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe.